Okay, peeps, welcome back. So, you guys are looking for the perfect dip buying opportunity? Well, here it is. Let's get it. So, today we're going to be talking about all of the Grayscale funds by popular demand. Everybody has been asking for us to cover all of them. So, we're going to do that today. Because there are so many different Grayscale trusts to cover, we're going to start moving forward. We're going to be putting the Bitcoin miner stocks in a completely separate video. So that will be separate content by itself. If you guys want to see that, keep an eye out for that. But with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing that we're looking at, which is the popular one here, is LTCN. As you guys can see, after this tweezer top, we did really sell off pretty massively. From the peak here down to where we currently sit, it's about a 51% drop. Keep in mind, this is normal for crypto. Crypto is just the most volatile thing in existence when it comes to markets. Okay, if you can't handle the volatility, then maybe ETFs and dividend paying stocks, dividend growth stocks, are more your thing. It is more risky, but there's also more reward to claim if you know how to do it right. So with that being said, as far as the charts are concerned, the MACD and the RSI are still bullish, even though we had this death cross on the RSI and we came down from being oversold. Does not necessarily mean anything. Again, the RSIs are above the break-even level at 50, which is still technically bull territory. Okay. So what do I mean by perfect dip buying opportunity? Well, we are literally sitting right above the support. If I did not have a position in this and I were looking to get in this position, like let's say I just found out about it up here and I'm like, well, damn, it's already gone up $3, $4, $5, $6 a share. Maybe I should just wait for a pullback. If I was waiting for the pullback, this would be the ideal spot that I would get into, right in between the weekly EMAs and or potentially into this support box between $6.80 to $8 a share. I would basically be DCAing in because, as you guys can see in previous history, it kind of sits in these areas for long periods of time. It's not like it just bounces immediately. It could, that's possible, but from what you guys have seen based on past history, it kind of really sits in the accumulation zone for a very long time. So if this thing is to sit here until the bull run, then you guys might have plenty of time to buy. So you can either bulk buy or DCA in. It's completely up to you. But basically, your overall support is going to be between roughly about $6.80 a share to the top of this EMA, roughly about $10.50 a share. I would say anywhere in there is a good buy zone. Again, your resistance is between $13 to $15-ish, roughly. And the peak here, a potential sell zone in the future, because you already know bears are going to be looking to short this thing. If it can't be shorted all the way up here, is just shy of 19 bucks. So taking a look at HZEN, as you guys can see, it could potentially be getting ready to break out. We recently took profit on this, so unfortunately we are not in this move while it's moving up. But no confirmed breakout yet. We still have 2 days to confirm whether this green candle is truly going to be bullish. It needs to get above this red one to confirm an actual breakout, which is at $2.05. So anything with a close above $2.05, I would say, is very bullish, and we could be moving into this next resistance zone between roughly about $2.60 a share to $2.90 a share. If we measure that, let's say you got in now and it did move up to that price, you're taking a look at roughly anything from 27% to a potential 43% profit, which is not great for crypto, but considering that we're still in accumulation, we're not actually in the bull run yet. I mean, not financial advice, but if you got profit on the table, might want to consider taking the profit in case Bitcoin and altcoins dump. So the RSI and the MACD are still very bullish, not really overbought per se. This zone is slowly starting to become support, but because it has not gotten an actual breakout yet, I would still say it's resistance. So resistance sitting between $2 to $1.50. The EMAs are between 130 to 160. Keep in mind, this is on the weekly time frame. It is the second highest time frame that we look at. And your major macro big time accumulation zone is down here between 36 cents to roughly about 67 cents. So if you're skittish, you think it's going to drop, maybe hold off and wait until it gets down here. It's completely up to you. BCHG. Now, this is a perfect buying opportunity once again. Okay, we came back down from overbought territory. RSIs are still bullish. It looks pretty much almost identical to LTCN. We had this shooting star candle here, which clearly was a sell-off candle. The entire market thought so. And keep in mind, we are not the only buyers in this market. As you guys can see on these volume candles here, there's massive volume on just this trust alone. You're talking millions of shares every single week. So clearly we're not the only ones that thought that this was a sell-off right here, and it turned out that that's exactly what it was. So your support is between 240 to 276. The EMAs sit also at that 276 all the way up to 345. So I would say basically between roughly about 250 to 350 a share is going to be your buy zone. We're sitting in that golden pocket, so to speak, of support here between the major support and the weekly EMAs. So if you were to pick it up now, and let's say that we did actually get back up to these levels. So if you were to pick it up now and basically measure to resistance, you're talking as much as 31%, all the way back to the peak up here at this wick high as much as 64%. Again, it's not like a 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000x like crypto can give you, but we're not even in the bull run yet. So if there's any profits to be made, well, there it is. It's up to you whether you want to take profit or not. So GXLM, this is one that we really haven't looked at that much, honestly. But if I were to kind of base my TA on what I'm seeing right here, I would say that this is probably roughly going to be about your support zone here, all the way down here, believe it or not. We kind of have like this, maybe you guys can see it here, this uptrending line. As long as we don't break that, I would say that we're still pretty bullish. Let me go ahead and draw another line here. You guys can see that we more or less kind of maybe have what looks like a rising wedge that could potentially be considered to be bearish. But again, nothing's confirmed unless it actually plays out. And kind of got your macro resistance up here. So big, huge gap here. Me personally, I would not touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. Reason being is because there's no clear support structure here. It could go up, could go down. We don't know yet. And your resistance is like 2x from where it is currently. And your support is also, you're taking a look at potentially more than a 50% cut if this thing dumps off and comes back down to major support here. And also you can see this candle looks like it's about ready to close down below both the rising wedge here and the EMAs. So I would be a little cautious buying this if it was me personally. Maybe slowly DC into this over time if that's what you think is best. But me personally, I would not want to buy it until it gets down to this box right here. ETH, we have taken a look at this one before briefly, so we're going to look at it again. Everything looks very bullish. As far as I'm concerned, the MACD is up. The RSI is up, although it looks like we may be having potentially a little tiny bearish divergence here. If you guys can see that, price moving up, RSI moving down, but not really a major concern. There's no other red flags there. So I would say if it's going to come back down to support, potentially your buy zone would be somewhere around 15 to 16 bucks here at this previous swing high here, if you're going to buy on the dip, which also kinds of somewhat lines up with the EMAs here between $16.30 to $19 a share. If we were to get a move up from where it is currently to the previous resistance, could be as much as 28 to 45%. But keep in mind, we could have come all the way down to this box. A lot of people think the Bitcoin spot ETFs are buy rumor, sell the news. And if that's the case, if you bought at $20, like did a bulk buy and it got slapped back down to $5, you're talking about a 75% cut in your initial capital. So I would not touch this with a 10-foot pole. If it was me personally, I'd be looking at other things because the risk is just too high here, in my opinion. It's not to say it couldn't go higher. Of course it could, but if it sells off, there is a waterfall of a drop to come here before it potentially recovers. Okay, so this is ETH Classic. This one, in my opinion, looks much more favorable than the actual Ethereum Trust. I'm going to tell you guys why here in a minute. So let's go ahead and draw out our support and resistance real quick. Some of these I have not set up in advance, just so you all know. So we've been trading all morning. As you guys know, we do that. So didn't really get a chance to set everything up before we got on here, but we're going to work through it anyways. So again, MACD, RSI looking bullish. There's potential bearish divergence here on ETH Classic, but again, no major warning flags. Why do I say this is a better deal than Ethereum itself? Well, if there was a drawdown here, you'd be taking a look at potentially between 50 to 75% of a drop. But the reason why I say this is a better deal is because the price is cheaper. And for those of you guys that don't know, Ethereum Classic is an oscillator to Ethereum. So when Ethereum shoots to the moon, Ethereum Classic is going to go up with it. And your potential all-time high here is sitting roughly about a 7 or an 8x away from the current price. So even if you just got in now, even at these highs and it did pull back, if you waited and did nothing, you could get as high as a potential 8x. If you DCA'd in from this zone down to the bottom, assuming it came down here, could be as potentially as high as a 9, 10, 11x. And obviously if ETCG goes to new all-time highs, it could be even more than that. So Zcash, this is an interesting one that we've actually personally been considering picking up. Again, I know that Zcash is kind of a privacy coin. It's something the government's very anti. People that buy Zcash, the actual cryptocurrency, are very anti surveillance, anti monitoring by the government. The government doesn't like that. They want to know everything you do, all your business. That's just how they operate. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I hate it too. I think it's trash that the government does stuff like that, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, they make the rules and we just kind of have to follow along because, it's the government. So anyways, resistance here between $2.66 to $4. The EMAs currently look a little bit bearish to me. All of these wicks over here look like a potential sell-off. So if it was me, I'd be looking for a buy between 135 to 180, which is your support zone. But keep in mind, if this thing goes to all-time highs, and that's all it does, you could be looking at potentially at least a 15x, if not more. So that's a massive move. I mean, that's a huge, huge move. Really big. It's actually more than ETH Classic would be. Okay, so GSOL, this is the Solana Trust. To be honest, y'all, I wish we had gotten into this and knew about this back here in mid 2023. We would be sitting on some insane profits right now. Probably would have even taken profits, honestly. But I would say that the most current support zone is, wrong tool, my bad. So most current support zone is going to be sitting roughly in this area. So somewhere between $83 to $89, which is well below the EMAs. The EMAs are between 100 to 130. And potential resistance is between roughly, it looks like about 180 to 202 per share. So, it looks very bullish on the surface, but honestly, I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch this with a mile-long pole because, the sell-off potential of this thing is just, it's ridiculous. It's massively overbought. I would not buy not even a single share of this at this point because I think it's way too overvalued. And the same is also true with Solana. We would not touch Solana either because it's just really, really expensive. Let's actually take a look at Solana real quick just so I can show you guys what I mean. So you can see your accumulation zone on Solana was down here between $12 to roughly about $25. We're currently sitting at $100. It's already between a 4 to a 5x up from its previous highs. Again, we are getting pretty close to that March sell-off, which was a major nosedive for Bitcoin as well. So with that being said, and Solana's overbought, enter at your own risk, but we're just not going to touch this one because it's really, really expensive. And there's just too many opportunities in the market to be buying overvalued stuff anyways. So here's Mana. This one's quite interesting. Would I buy this personally just at a bird's eye view on the chart? No, I would not. But if you guys want to, um, you potentially could. There is a potential shooting star candle here forming, and we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. But if that happens, that could potentially be a sell-off candle, which there's no telling how low it goes. But your support zones are between $12 and $15 and $17.25 to $20. If we get slammed all the way down, you're talking roughly about $1.84 to $3.45 a share. I mean, if you want to take the risk of buying this at all-time highs and have your initial capital cut by 90%, be my guest. I would not recommend it. If we take a look at the Mana coin, the Mana coin itself is much cheaper. If I was to buy one of the two, I would buy Decentraland over the Grayscale Trust any day of the week. If it's, just at a bird's eye glance, Mana itself could potentially do at least a 10x. All right, so GBAT, this is another one. This is based on basic attention token. So we're going to draw in support and resistance here. Actually, this would not be a support and resistance. This would be a support and a support zone. So you can see there's not a lot of history here. That's fine. So the RSI is coming down, had a death cross from being overbought. That could potentially be a warning signal, but this support is holding. If I was to buy this, I would buy between 443 and 515 a share. I would not touch it if it was any higher than that. The all-time high is at 968 a share. The EMAs are between 468 to 609, and then your macro support is between 75 cents to $1.10. So going on to G-Link here, this is Chainlink, which is the underlying. Chainlink is not overbought per se itself, but it is getting a little expensive at this point. In my opinion, there's better opportunities to buy, but we'll go over this anyways. So there's your support, and your potential other support could be roughly right in that zone right there. So a little bit of bearish divergence going on here. You can see this peak to this lower peak on the RSI, and we are still overbought. Another reason I would not buy this. So that's a bearish divergence, but your current support sits between 39.06 to about 45.66. The all-time high is at 87.17. Keep in mind that that is price discovery. That generally typically means it will go higher, but I wouldn't buy at the current price. I'd wait for it to come down to the zone. So roughly about 40 to 45. And then the EMAs are between 42 to roughly about 54.50 a share. Macro support is going to be between $6 and $9 a share. Here's the Filecoin version. I can tell you all right now, even though this is in price discovery, that the volume is too low, in my opinion, to want to touch it. You can see on the weekly timeframes, we're not getting a lot of volume on this. Very, very small amount of volume, roughly about 5,000 shares a week. That's pretty much next to nothing when it comes to trading. So we'll draw in the two support zones that we have here. So your macro support is going to be between $4 and roughly about $12 a share, and the major current supports between 37 to about 41 per share. The EMAs are between 37 and 47 per share, and the all-time high is roughly about $70. Would I be buying this one? No, honestly. Even though we're not going to buy LTCN unless it comes down below our cost basis, I would still much rather, in my opinion, buy LTCN at the current price than touch this thing. FILG is pretty expensive right now, and if we take a look at Filecoin, which we do actually own some actual Filecoin, just so you all know, it's currently trying to have a breakout right now, and as you can see, the upside on this thing is just insane. I mean, the high is at 240, almost 240 a share, and the current price is at $5 a share. I would not be buying the Grayscale Trust on this. I would just buy the native token if it was me, not financial advice. So the last one, this is one that I've actually never even heard of, and I've been in crypto for years, so this is quite curious. If you guys know anything about the LivePeer token, let me know in the comments below. I would be curious to know more about this. But your current support zone is there, and I guess if we were to draw kind of like another support zone, although this is a little difficult to tell where exactly the support is, I would say it's roughly right about there. So this overall chart looks bullish. Again, potential bearish divergence going on here on this particular Grayscale ETF or fund. Sorry, trust. It's not an ETF. So your support is between 1240 and 1490. The EMA sit between roughly $13 and $17.10 per share. Your all-time high is at $28.82, and the macro support is between $2 and $3.85 per share. I would say, in my opinion, I think the best buys out of all of these right now probably would be the Zcash one, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin, and not in any particular order, just my opinion. But anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.